Welcome to Universal Journey Talk, spreading positive energy. Hey everybody! Once again, we are back here with myself and my brother Eric. He's got his headphones now. He's trying to do a little bit of a better sound, whatever. Eric the Allegorist, how we doing, buddy?
Going on.
All right. So, as I can see, you've been doing a little bit of traveling, and you've got something going on here. What's going on with your necklace there, buddy?
Say a necklace that my soulmate, my beloved mate, for me, and when I went to us here for Memorial Week, and it's a scarab, an Egyptian scarab. It's one of the highest symbols in Egypt. And it's very sentimental.
Nice.
Actually, we got it from Egypt together. So, we usually fly out, to Egypt, do like 3 weeks or so vacation out there every year.
Oh, so you mean that is actually from Egypt?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. And actually, I think now, how many? Like, just as a recap. What have you been like? What, 2 times, 3 times in Egypt?
3 times, yeah.
Wow, awesome. Well, hey man, I think that there's something to be said about it. What's up?
Yeah. Well, with the pandemic, that held things back, but because we were there when the pandemic was just beginning. And,
okay.
That's
right.
Definitely into the not too distant future.
Nice. And I think kind of like in conjunction with that, I mean, like here we've got, actually, I mean, I don't know if anyone's going to hear it in the recording, but there's like major thunder going on outside of our, window. And it's been going on for a little bit now, a few days back, whatever. Like the weather's been very strange. And I think that that's kind of where we were kind of going to jump into that you and I were going to talk about, which is here. The new moon, Ring of Fire, and its meaning. And actually, kind of like in part with that is, I mean, we meant to jump off on where we last left off in the last episode, which was like relationships and twin flames and things like that, connections to the universe. But you just, was visiting your twin flame. And, clearly you were talking about, whatever, different things, your connection and blah, blah, blah. And now we've got the, tomorrow, Thursday, will be the lunar eclipse, but it's a strange kind of a lunar eclipse, which they call the Ring of Fire. And, if you want to look at it from, the scientific perspective, from the, taking photos perspective, there's a lot of practical perspectives about it, which is really, really cool and really awesome. But, with our channel, we're kind of trying to talk about more of the implications of, it's maybe spiritual, it's magnetic, it's other forces, or once again, as I've said in previous episodes, how the universe talks to us in numbers. And when I say numbers, I mean there's orbits that are always perfect. There's time of a planet's turning with seasons. There's, a lot of ways where you can kind of calculate our life based off of what the universe provides to us. And a lot of it does, cumulate with is that a word, cumulate? Whatever. Compute with numbers and calculations. And so I'm kind of going to go into I'm assuming we're going to go into a little bit of the scientific perspective as well as the spiritual perspective, because as we all know, generally as most people know, which is that even the moon, its trajectory and where it is has an effect on the waves of the ocean of our planet, as well as individual people. So, depending on what your connection is, depending on, how much you're, connected to these type of effects, these sources, the type of, whatever effects that they have, you can either they can either affect you in a way that you might consider to be negative, or you can maybe take advantage of them in a way that's that you can help you if you are whatever in tune whatever with what's going on out there in the universe. So basically, I guess with that, I just wanted to take it with you. So Eric, we were just talking a little bit about this yesterday. Not much, but you made me aware. I wasn't even aware of this. That tomorrow, Thursday is the moon fire ring and all that it means, whatever. One of the things that you kind of even sent me a link to was how it's basically almost like a channel. It's a portal, as was indicated, to really I guess being something where it's going to be a change, but not a change in the way that it's like just regular change. It's almost like it's more like it's almost finishing up. It's finishing up all the things, all the intentions, all the manifestations, all the whatever it is that if you practice these things, where you need to kind of embrace it, because it's making a finalization of all these things, for better or for worse, depending. But that was a little bit of what I kind of got out of it. But now you were like, you obviously had your take on it. So let me hear what you were kind of thinking about it.
What I look at, like my interpretation, or what I look at, I mean, these energies of the moon. I mean, there's everybody has their own, take of it, and many different ways to look at it. But from what I look at it, it's or like basically all these, moons, new moons, solar eclipses, they're all like. I would say understanding or gaining access to your paradigm, in a sense. Because if you believe that you're a co-creator, that you create your own reality. So, in a sense, like this new moon is it's like opening a portal between the old paradigms and a new paradigm. And it's a shift. And usually, like any, usually that's the case, a shift of some sort. So, I believe the more you're aware of it, more conscious of the shift, the more likely it's going to affect you. Because, like you said before, like the moon affects the tides of the ocean. And just like a human being, it affects us because we're also made out of water, most. So it would make sense. And with the moon basically controlling your emotions or of some sort, that it's your emotions which play a major part in your reality. That's why, like, someone's like, well, you should stay positive in a higher vibration. You live a life, obviously, you tend to live a life with more miracles and blessings and with more joy and happiness than somebody that's usually just in a lower vibration concept. You'll see how their life usually turns out. Just a lot of poor choices, and it just can, spiral down from there. So, with this moon, the Ring of Fire is really, like many moons, but this is a very strong shift. It's one of, great importance of like in life, there's always a bigger picture, a macrocosm, and then you have a, microcosm. And this moon would probably pertain more to the macro, the big picture, and in your life of major shifts. Not saying that little things on your daily things aren't going to happen. Obviously, it'll come to that too, but it's something to pay attention to. Really understand that you're moving into a new paradigm, a new shift of consciousness, and the more you're aware of that, and you do what you need to do to tune into that vibration, the more success you can have in creating your reality and making what you want in life, and what perceive it as to make that whatever that would look like for you and what you want. One way that I look at it.
Yeah, I definitely think that once again, when we're talking about like creating our own reality and stuff like that, this was like a point I was going to talk about in our last episode before we got cut off because we're having technical difficulties with the audio and the video. But it still kind of applies, which is that, and once again, I'm not going to name names and point out people, but even I'm going to say like people in my own neighborhood, that clearly it's like when I look at them as they walk down the street or, as they, do what they're doing and stuff, whatever. It's pretty sad in a way because it's like it's like they mope down the street. They're like beaten down and whatever. And now once again, I'm 50 years old, whatever. I've tried to, I've definitely partied and had a pretty crazy time, but at the same time, I tried to balance it out with a life of trying to be holistic, organic, and also not even that, but just to keep my vibration, my attitude, my appreciation of life, high or whatever. And so far, I feel like it's paid dividends, whatever. I'm not a miserable person. Anyway, but then I see like other people my age, even younger and stuff, and it's like they look so miserable. And a lot of this once again is it's kind of what you choose. And now people's circumstances do have an effect, but even still, you kind of choose to be miserable or appreciative of what your circumstances are. And now, once again, like, people go, well, what if you're born in like the projects or the ghetto? And now that's a harder circumstance. I do understand that. But I will say this, my own mother came from a very, modest, we'll even say, poor type of, background and stuff. And she, in conjunction with my father, really, our father, tried to make the best and tried to move into other, communities where we could have like a better chance. So what I'm saying is it's like, if it's in a physical realm where you're physically, don't want to be somewhere and you want to move forward, our parents did that. And actually, I'm very grateful because, it kind of put us in a more like suburb setting where we were able to have different access to maybe things that other of our family didn't, because they remained in like areas that weren't as whatever. But so that's on the physical level. But then if you want to talk on the mental level, I still kind of feel like as if that, it's important to always still try to maintain your, spiritual, mental, whatever that is, that keeps you appreciative of what the universe gives you if you utilize it, or even if you're even aware of it. Maybe a lot of people aren't, really aware of it, whatever. But all these things, these are all little bits and pieces. The physical, the spiritual, the mental. And when you, become more aware of them, when you search for these things, it really will help you to open your mind and realize that there is more, positivity out there if you just reach for it, if you just know to reach for it, if you know how. And I think that's kind of like where we're kind of going into with. So this is like an opportunity right now that I kind of feel is happening. It's almost kind of like it's like a free lottery. You don't need to pay any money. You can just know that right now the moon and the sun with the eclipse is going to be lining up, and there are things, once again, as I mentioned, in our universe where the way that the universe talks to us or whatever through different episodes, through numbers, through different events, that if you understand them, you can probably harness and utilize these things to whatever, improve your future, improve your reality, improve your the time that you're in right now, and to move forward. So one of the things,
like,
what? Yeah, go ahead.
Like, you know, a lot of times, understanding that you live in a paradigm no matter what. You know what I mean? Everyone, like you're talking about that clock. We're all on this chronos time. You know what I mean? Where other than this dimension, for the most part, a realm, time really doesn't exist. You know what I mean? So it only exists to us because we're embodied in an avatar, in a sense, and in a realm where time is of the essence. And so when we know this, regardless of what we know of numerology, astrology, or what our education is or knowledge is, things are going to happen voluntarily or involuntarily anyway. So usually it's when you have a moon or any type of major transit or shift or just on a daily basis, the more you kind of work with these things, or the more you delve into some of this knowledge, it'll open up things and change neural patterns within you, you know? And that's why, like, when you kind of look at it, there's a lot of interesting things, like when we were talking about before, like the Mandela effect. You know, these are like paradigms like colliding and are changing into new paradigms, releasing old paradigms. You start seeing how this works and how we're balancing out consciously, you know, and then moving forward into ultimately higher consciousness. And the more we can meditate or contemplate on certain things, understanding some of these energies and these shifts, how the energy coming from the cosmos, you can harness that energy and then really put that energy, or put, like, in a sense, put the odds in your favor. You know what I mean? Like when you mentioned something like, it'd be like winning the lottery or something. But like anything, at least putting certain energies into your favor can help. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And like you won't, doesn't always, not everything you're going to see maybe physically, or at least drastically fast, but usually these shifts do accelerate time. That's what you'll notice, like usually after like a solar eclipse or any major shift or transit, that time starts accelerating. And you may notice how, because that's consciously you're moving at a faster pace to whatever it is your soul ultimately wants, or is looking for intuitively and eternally what you want. And a lot of these shifts happen regardless if you're aware of it or not, voluntarily or involuntarily, but they're going to happen. And a lot of times it's all alchemy, you know. But a little bit, you know, being aware of these things and like a spirituality, there's so much to learn, you know what I mean? There's always so much, but you can never know everything, you know. I'm always trying to learn new things as much as I can. And then you think you know something, you realize you're a dummy. So it's good that to be the student, the teacher, and always be on these phases. But as we go, like in this realm of time, and in this realm, time would be, like we would say, our like chronos time, or like the Greeks would call it. And as we evolve, we start, when we're in that moment, and we're accelerating our Godspeed, and we're tuned in and dialed in, then they call that we're moving into Kairos time, and that's like just divine time, impeccable time, and that's where you get flashes at that time. You know what I mean? Whether you understand it or not, especially with these ships. So something to be that's interesting and to really look forward to when these shifts happen, and to realize that it's really a good thing.
All right. Kind of along with that, I was taking a couple notes, and I was going to say, well, for one thing, now here's the thing. According to what I was looking up a little bit about the research, which is that, look, this eclipse, this Ring of Fire and what it represents, and on a metaphysical level, we need to realize it's pretty much talking about, or at least from what I've been gathering, it talks about it's a finalization, meaning whatever your intentions were, whatever your goals were, whatever things are that are going to work out for you, or may even not work out for you, it's pretty much this is going to round it out. So that's pretty much what it was kind of, the different, sources that I was looking into. So what I'm kind of saying is once again, like, don't take it lightly, meaning like, if there were certain things that you were trying to, if there were certain, I don't know, whatever goals, if there were certain obstacles that were kind of in your way, this is your time to really kind of, once again, if you're into this, embrace it, make it work for you. Because either way, it's kind of, whatever the situation is, it's kind of come to a conclusion. So if you left it kind of open for something where, you weren't, stepping up and doing what you needed to do to get it finished, from what I'm indicating, this is saying that this is gonna conclude it so the next chapter can move on. So I'm just saying, whatever it is in your life, if there's something going on, get your orders in check. Whatever it was that whatever your goals were, whatever it is that you were pursuing, whatever it was that you were, really, that means something to you, according to the resources, they're basically saying is get it in check. Because, it's either going to go exactly the way you wanted it to, or because you didn't follow through, it's gonna finish up anyway. So just something to keep that in mind. I'm also going to point out, another thing here. Something that you said a little bit earlier, which is this. Okay, you know what? We always have to keep in mind too, is that once again, our bodies have a time limit in general. Meaning, like, you're going to live to be, whatever, 60, 70, 80, 100, 120, but there is a time limit. So, we still need to realize that the things that mean a lot to us within our time frame don't necessarily apply to how the universe, looks at things. You know what I mean? Whatever. I mean, it's not even comparable. It's ridiculous. It's like, whatever, looking at our lives of 100 and whatever, or not 100, but maybe 80 years to 100 years or whatever, so-and-so, to like the life of, I think flies live maybe a few weeks or something. I don't know, whatever. It's like, you can't even compare that. It's whatever. But
I think it's like 24 hours.
Yeah, it might be. But so what I'm saying is it's almost ridiculous. So what I'm saying is when when there's things and you go, I put my intentions out to the universe. Well, we still have to realize that, the universe, even though we are connected to it, it's not like as if the universe looks at you as you're the only one that exists in the universe and it needs to take care of you. There's a whole lot of other stuff going on. So it's more about how you can apply, what the universe offers in your scenario to make it work, hopefully, if you apply it enough and things like that, to work for you. I know for myself, and I'm not going to get deep into it because it's ridiculous. I'm talking like 10, 15 years worth of me when I didn't even realize how manifesting and intentions works and stuff, but I kind of did it anyway. Maybe it was just a natural, feeling that I had, whatever. I didn't, at the time, maybe I thought it was when I was more religious, I thought it was, God or whatever. But even still, I mean, I guess you could still say it's God if you think that, once again, God is the universe. But anyway, um, um, clearly, I've had a lot of good things go on in my life. And now I'm still at the same point in my life where, life is pretty good. Things are going very well. But now I almost feel like I understand a little bit of how this works. And I'm just trying to put that out there to other people, which is, do more research, understand that, your power of manifestation. I haven't said, we haven't talked too much about it. Maybe, we need to talk about it more. But, there's definitely something to be about manifestation, but understanding where the source comes from, meaning understanding source and those type of things. But, okay. So anyway, whatever. I'm going a little bit off course here. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of touch on this a little bit with you, Eric. You were on a vacation last with you and soulmate, however people want to talk about it and whatever. So I was just kind of curious, like, you guys hadn't seen each other for a bit. I mean, the two of you have like very crazy schedules, but generally, how did it go? What did the two of you, learn and your connection and like all that kind of stuff,
Everything was great. I mean, never better, And like anything, we're always learning together and always growing consciously and moving forward our soul and life purpose,
Yeah.
And, which, but I didn't want to jump off too far about what we were saying before. That was great, and using how we plan things in the future and how to use this moon magic and per se, or what do you want to call it? It's especially with this someone referred it to this solar eclipse as a profound mental calibration of the diamond lens of the heart. And usually most of these energies or moons or shifts, it's usually about that of some sort. You know what I mean? And it's really like you were saying before, a good time to really put intentions out and to really understand where that energy is going. Because energy doesn't just, when we look at ourselves in life, our reality is nothing but energy, and everything is energy. So sometimes what you were saying before, like how to learn or what's going on, and putting these intentions out, a lot of times with whatever energy that the moon's putting out is really going to be a main focus. So the more we can tie into that focus is, like this one's, moving into a new a new paradigm, and where old things that don't serve anymore will fall away, and whatever's going to stay, that's sticking is going to stay, and for now, and we move on from there, and really to get our life organized in a sense and to move forward, and what that really means, and that's what me and my beloved soulmate were really discussing, and how to really accelerate our lives and to move forward with it, with these energies. It's all about alchemy. So a lot of times you could feel it. You could feel when things are really moving, and accelerating. And I noticed that, and that's definitely something that I've been feeling lately as past a couple months. Moving. Things are starting moving, and it's like a car when you're running on all cylinders.
All right, cool. So, one of the other points I wanted to bring up though is now here's the other thing now. When it talks about whatever, a lunar eclipse and all this stuff, I don't know if you realize this, but there's a lot of different things in history about, once again, about your perspective on the lunar eclipse, how maybe you can learn from it or how it can be dangerous. Now, here's some pretty messed up history. Did you know that in a lot of like history books, basically when a lunar eclipse would happen, people saw it as the dragon was eating, the sun and stuff. And that's where they had a lot of practices, and I'm like, where do people come up with these ideas? But they would start sacrificing literally their children to, whatever god or something in order to bring the sun back because they thought the sun was being eaten by the dragon or something like that, whatever. Which is crazy. I mean, it goes to show you, like, the crazy way that people think and stuff that they don't understand. What's that?
Like the Aztecs, you're saying?
Yeah, maybe the Aztecs. It might have been something to do with a little bit of Baal or something. I don't know. But either way, it was really messed up stuff. But here's the thing, which is, once again, it's kind of like self-fulfilling. So what they would do is, like I said, they would sacrifice their children or something, for, so that way, that the dragon wouldn't eat the sun. And here's the messed up part. They would keep doing it over and over and over again because it worked. Because after some time, the eclipse would go away. It would go away, and then the sun would be revealed again, and they would go, see? So by sacrificing her kids, it made it so that, whatever. So now the dragon didn't eat the sun. So you see how crazy certain beliefs can happen. And by the way, as we all know, the eclipse was coming through, and then the eclipse was going to leave anyway. But because they had their crazy beliefs and stuff, we need to sacrifice our children. I'm just saying, like, that's, and I'm sorry to be, morbid, but it's like, there's some wacky, crazy reasonings that come up from people that don't understand how the stars work. What were you saying?
Well, like the story of Troy, the king, he sacrificed his daughter because he wanted, obviously to win the war. So to basically guarantee to win the war, he had to sacrifice his own daughter to understand death. If you're willing to slaughter all these people to win this war, then you have to be able to give a sacrifice so you understand all the suffering that you're going to cause. You have to be willing to sacrifice and give an offering as well.
Wow.
So when if you're going to take from others, then you have to know what it's like to be for something so precious for you to be taken from you, and that's the only way. It's an equal sacrifice.
Wow.
And guess what? He did, and he won the War of Troy. So
I didn't even know about that. Wow.
And that's how a lot of, remember, moon magic. There's different ways people practice. You know what I mean? Like Wicca, but remember, and there's ways of black magic, and you see all the black magic in this world that's actually going on. That rather most people don't even know about or even have a clue or even know what that is. But in a sense, you can see a lot of it definitely works. But at what cost? You know what I mean? And but yeah, like anything, there's a lot of, no matter what, it doesn't mean it doesn't work. And that's why most rituals are done on solstice and equinox, and where all secret societies always practice their most potent rituals at these times.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. That's pretty heavy. I think one of the only other points I was just going to mention is that now a lot of times when we look at things that happen with whatever I don't know, the supposedly the asteroid, or whatever meteorite, whatever it was that hit the dinosaurs and killed everything off, and then it's almost kind of like why, like that was so random. Or then different things that happen randomly, throughout, our history. We can talk about, well, I'm saying like the flood in the Bible, or we can look at other, like major catastrophes or something. And a lot of times people will say, oh, it's biblical, or scientifically they have reasons for it and stuff. But sometimes in other words, what I'm just kind of going to point out to, once again, talking about whatever's going on with the moon right now, is that like the different, and once again, just do your research, if you want to about it. But there's like a lot of things that kind of indicate that, like, in other words, this event you can use, for your good, or it can affect you in a bad way if you don't acknowledge it and use it properly. Because in other words, this is kind of like a finalization of events for just for this time period, but then it's going to move things on to the next thing. So, or at least that's how I was kind of, gathering. So some people may look at things like, well, I don't, I don't have all my stuff ready. All my stuff, isn't ready yet. It's not whatever. And you got to remember, once again, the universe, it doesn't revolve around you. You know what I mean? It's like, we are all in this together. And, like, for instance, let's say, when a hurricane or a volcano or something happens, right? And people are like, oh, it's so terrible. Hundreds of people have died. But what if from the Earth's perspective, it needed to happen to keep agriculture going, to keep things in line and balance with the ecosystem or something. So, yeah, maybe humans maybe you just weren't you're in the wrong place, wrong time or something. And it might be the same thing with what's going on here, which is that, in other words, I'm basically saying, if you want to be in tune with the universe and things that happen, special events, this is a special event that's happening. So, why be in a situation where maybe you could have, cleaned things up, made sure that whatever events happen go align with what the universe is now going to be doing with the moon and the sun and the eclipse, whatever, rather than just be like, whatever happens or something. And maybe you don't have your stuff in line, and then it goes against you. In other words, you know what I mean? It's almost like when you have an ability, a resource, put it to use. Don't just pretend like, whatever happens, because sometimes that's what happens to a lot of people. They just go, they're very like, whatever happens in life. And then, sometimes that can be okay, but for a lot of times, you're not taking advantage of actual moments where the universe is like, I can help you out, but you need to, grab on or whatever. So
or sometimes, yeah.
What's that?
Or sometimes, like, kind of like what you're saying, it's kind of like, when you're in a wave pool, and sometimes when you're in a wave pool, it's like, you can see the wave coming, in a sense, or like a surfer, and you can ride the wave. Sometimes you're just doing it randomly and you don't want to know. A lot of times, well, the wave's going to come anyway. But you might notice you're trying to fight against the wave and you already know how that ends. Kind of like that.
Well, yeah, exactly. No, I mean, I get what you're saying. In other words, basically, we all have a choice, but the choice is it's limited to how much power or influence we have over the actual event that's going to happen. It's like, look, remember back in the day when Sandy, happened and stuff? It didn't matter whether you believed it or not. It's going to happen. And it didn't matter whether you were further or whether you were closer to the water or whether you were further away from the water, whatever that was going to affect, your situation. I know for myself, Vanessa and I, we were about 2 miles away. The water came in about a mile in. Now, had it come in further, whatever, we would have had to make adjustments. But in other words, once again, it's kind of like, you can kind of just, a lot of people, they just kind of don't want to be bothered, or they don't want to believe whatever, that something could be as good or as bad as it is. And it, and that's a hard, a hard situation to kind of figure out. But I'm just saying this. Wait, hold on. I'm just saying the one thing that we do know is that on Thursday, tomorrow, there is going to be a ring of fire around the moon. There's a lot of stuff being talked about. It's talking about a portal of change, of like literally restarting, parts of our realities and our consciousness. That's what it's all about. So I'm just saying, as my last thoughts, is that the opportunity is right there, and it's not going to hurt you to give it a shot. Look into it, give it a try. Whatever your intentions are. If you don't know anything about intentions, manifesting, or whatever, law of attraction, give it a shot, because this is one of the moments where it's supposed to all tie in together. So that's basically what I was saying.
Yeah, pretty much. But another way to, we have to remember, things are constantly changing. I wouldn't even know what the world would look like if it was constantly the same thing. But give me up on the other, put me on the other visual. I want to be able to see it. Sorry, we can jump back and forth. But a lot of times, it's like energy is like constantly changing. Remember, the planet itself it's a cell. The whole universe. If you look at the universe or the cosmos, there's a lot of stuff going on. It's not just one thing. It isn't like, the universe is just a giant planet, or it has planets. It has so much stuff out there that we don't even really understand, conceive. It goes way beyond our mental mind. You know what I mean? That's why even our mind itself. Where is it? What realm is our mind? Is our mind on Earth, or is it somewhere else? And then we're an avatar that's containing it. So when we look at all these aspects, it would be, how can we not look within? Because it's within, that's part of everything that you do that's out. You know what I mean? The exterior. So it's tying in a lot. That's why it's important to be open-minded. To really to start understanding that there's more than what you think you know. There's more than just go to work, come home, sit on the couch, and watch TV. That could be the aspect of your life or what it looks like. But other than that, because you don't know really anything else, if you haven't really took the interest or they have the curiosity to really look for it, and many, usually I think most people actually do and have, but really just never move forward. It could be something, maybe you don't like reading a book. You don't like reading. But there may have been a book or something you want to read, but you just notice after a few pages, you give it a shot, you're just like, next time. You know what I mean? And a lot of times it's just trying to, that we have to restructure, rewire ourselves, and change our neural patterns in a sense, and try new things. Because like anything, you don't know if you've never tried or never looked into. That's why these things are important. And with research and things, you'll find later on, at some point, you do have curiosity. You are inspired by many things that you never even thought you were even interested in. And then that leads to a whole world, a whole universe of something else. And then that's where you start finding passion behind it. And then feel like you're alive again of some sort, and you want to do something or whatever it is, or create as a creator. And all these things matter. The moon And then like the sun, moon, sun, masculine energy, moon, feminine energy. Look at the moon; it ties into your emotion. When you look at like emotions or feminine energy, it makes sense. You can see through the resemblance. Usually the feminine or that emotional energy or so it would make sense. The masculine energy, the sun, vitality. You know what I mean? You can see how certain metaphors or euphorism or symbolically, allegorically, things mean more. So even with the ancients, even when like if we may see them looking at something, maybe not understand it, or it's maybe a very primitive way, but not in every sense because they can look at it like a dragon eating the sun, but that also is a metaphor in a way that they understand it in a different way. Some people understand like the story of Adam and Eve, the snake tempting Eve was the devil, but others understand that that snake was actually knowledge, the serpent. And we even understand Kundalini is the serpent. And Eve took there's different perspectives and perceptions of the story. So if you look at it another way, it'd be like, oh my God, that's the opposite you would think. It would be, but where a lot of people, like a rabbi or college once, I heard talk about the story of Adam and Eve, made a good point where it's easy for us to blame Eve, or that's why in a sense that masculine energy kind of like men will blame women in a sense where like well, it's because of women that put us in this predicament in the first place. You know what I mean? Had we didn't listen to women, everything would have been perfect. You ever hear like some of that ego?
Yeah.
But a lot of times when you hear the story, it's kind of like sometimes there's more to the story what you think, or what you know. So maybe if we can hear maybe a bigger picture of it, this is just a theory. I'm not saying this is the case, but I know I've heard from certain Kabbalists that when Eve talked about eating the forbidden fruit, it was like basically Eve and Adam had a job to do, and it was to fix something, to come here and raise the vibration. So they had to come to a certain realm to do that, basically as light workers or whatever you want to call it. So when Eve looked at it where they were before, it was all perfect. So the way it's like, well, if it's perfect, well that means they were in the wrong realm. It'd be like you're an electrician, you're sent to do a job to fix something. But you get there, everything's perfect. So then either you're at the wrong place because clearly something was wrong. So she said we had to eat the forbidden fruit so we can be in the right place. And now when you look at it, we're humans. They seem to be in the right place. There's a lot of fixing to do. And that's why light workers and star seeds all come in here to play their part. And the more we're aware of it and conscious of it, we will shift this entire a higher and hyper consciousness and way of thinking, where eventually we would understand how to navigate through these sad times or what may seem to be sadness and anxiety or depression when we feel these things emotionally and physically. And that's part of what a lot of these shifts and things are saying, and how to help us propel us to move forward in those shifts. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I mean that's wow, that's some very interesting stuff. By the way, just to kind of add to that a little bit, if I believe this correctly, once again, depending on your sources, but the sources that seem to be the oldest, when they talk about like even like Adam and Eve and sinning, what even goes before that is I believe it's in a Sumerian a Sumerian text. It talks that now maybe it was a Sumerian text, maybe some other text or something that's even older than like Bible times. It does say that before Eve, Adam and Eve, before Eve, it was Lilith, correct?
Right. Yeah.
Right, and that's a huge thing. Like people don't realize, like, oh no, it wasn't. In other words, there's a lot more. If you want to go back to biblical, references and things, there's a lot more in the Bible that it's not all recorded in the Bible. There are other references and stuff that go even older than that, explaining more. Like it's almost like the Bible is almost kind of like an abbreviation. It's like the Cliff Notes of generally what happened, but it really doesn't go into like a lot of like if you look at like Genesis, it just basic. God made the earth and how whatever 6-7 days and blah blah blah, and he said let there be light and blah blah, but it doesn't really go into how. It doesn't say how, what specifically was done. Let me tell you right now, people out there, if you're trying to get deeper, into whatever, even like biblical history and even beyond that, look at Sumerian texts. Look at there's a lot of other texts out there that are older, way older than that stuff. That gives way more detail. So that's just a little like side point. But so I guess
Book of the Dead.
Book of the Dead, even the Book of Enoch, they kicked that one out. There's reasons for it. Basically, it was just because it didn't move along with the narrative of what the Bible was saying, who Jesus was. But it says some pretty crazy stuff in there that isn't that far off from what Jesus or any other thing in the Bible says. But anyway.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Because like you said, like the Bible being like clip notes. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like it can get you on the right path. So, but that doesn't mean like you don't have to stop there. Like when you learn something, let's say you go to a seminar and you learn about whatever it is you're learning. That doesn't mean you have to stop there. And then you only isolate yourself or only to the one book. You'll notice like when you're listening to these wise men or let's say prophets, let's say from the Bible, you'll know that these wise men, they're also mentioned in other books as well. So that's like watching one movie of a character that you like, but there's other movies, you know what I mean, that you can watch of that same character and learn more. And that's that character in other situations. So why would you just be stuck to one thing? Like, be open-minded and just go where your interest takes you. And you can learn more on that. So if you got prophets that you like and resonate with in the Christian Bible, and those some of those prophets are in the Quran or the Muslims, the Quran and what else? Like, why wouldn't you go move there and do research in that book and expand on that? And if that moves to the Bhagavad Gita and that now it's resident in this keeps moving, like just why stop anywhere? Just keep going, and you'll notice there's just a bigger picture where it's all connected, and you'll notice basically everything's saying the same thing and just going more into detail so you can truly understand it in many ways, and not instead of just perceiving it from only one perspective. Because if something's three-dimensional, to see it from all angles, you got to see it in 3 dimensions. You can't see it in just 1 dimension. You can't see it in just 2 dimensions. It's got to be 3. So that's a formula that we really have to understand, and part of that formula is to be open-minded, and then the knowledge will come to you, naturally. But you have to be open-minded.
Yeah, and that's basically what I was kind of like pointing to, which is, like here's basically the way that I would say it, which is this: if you choose to only accept, once again, coming from American Christian, general, culture, if you only choose to accept like the Bible as the authority, and nothing else, you won't look at anything else, then as far as I'm concerned, you only know part of the story. And that's very limiting. It's very limiting. If you choose to also incorporate the other, whatever, all the other different books out there and stuff, whatever, it will give you a better perspective. Now, by the way, I mean, coming from me, I have, there's a lot of things in the Bible I believe are either simply not true or they're exaggerated or whatever. But I still listen to them and learn from them, even till just, actually, if I could just take a moment, just even yesterday, there's a guy, it was recommended to me on YouTube. Anyway, this guy, now he mentioned in his, he was talking from some platform. He's not really religious or whatever, but he still said, even he said, there's some good things to be, realized from the Bible. So he was talking about the attitude of Jezebel and how the attitude of Jezebel affects us even till this day, meaning about manipulation, how she manipulated people back in the day, even to get herself all the way up to the highest point or whatever, manipulating men and things like that. And talking about how this attitude is permeated into our modern time, about like people trying to get themselves to be worshipped, essentially, or whatever. And anyway, and then how it led to her demise and stuff like that. But it was a really good kind of like correlation of stuff that happened in the past till now. So my point is just that there's a lot still. Even though for I myself, there's a lot of things in the Bible I think that was exaggerated, or maybe that wasn't necessarily true, whatever. But the bottom line is there are still, in other words, everything should be examined. Always, read everything. Take something serious. If someone says something, and at first you may be like, that's ridiculous, whatever. But you know what though? Because for instance, if you want to look at history, when the Wright brothers said that we can make people fly in the air, people go, that's ridiculous. That's stupid. That was back in the 18 whatevers or something, whatever. And now everyone's flying by jet, and that's normal, Before that, I remember the first person, I don't know who they were, but the first people to invent the bicycle back in the day, and this is maybe like the 1800s, I don't know, whatever. When they were on the bicycle, they actually thought that they used witchcraft to make it work. Because how could something that when it stands still falls over, once you start riding it, it stands up and it goes forward and it doesn't fall down. You know what I mean? They thought it was witchcraft. It must be witchcraft. You know what I mean? Whatever and stuff. And these are like things that was real, but it was all just simple. It was just, science. It was just physics. You needed to understand, you know what I mean? Whatever. And now we come to our modern day, which is, I kind of wanted to link this, which is like people talk about mental telepathy, and maybe in the future we'll be able to speak to each other through our own minds and stuff like that. Now, not to say that this is how it happens, but I'm just saying that we need to keep in mind certain things that are kind of true even in our lifetime, which is that now Elon Musk has that implant now. It's very brand new. You can basically put it in your head. It's about the size of a quarter. He's saying it costs maybe like about $1,000, $2,000 to implant in your head. It's not too expensive. And then they're saying eventually you'll be able to connect to the internet and do everything through your brain and stuff. But here's the thing. They're saying even if someone else has the chip, as long as you're connected to the internet, you'll be able to speak to them through your mind, through the chip, through the internet, or through Bluetooth or something like that. Is that mental telepathy? Is that essentially talking, from your brain? So what I'm saying is even things that, we may have thought that were, impossible or something, even technology in a weird way is starting to bridge the gap between like what's considered magic compared to what's just it's just technology that's not understood yet, whatever. But that's a whole different story,
Well, I just want to like as far as like you mentioned, like the Bible, sometimes it's not that what the Bible says is something that's necessarily not true. Because I can't say that. You know, I think the Bible has many things that are I think in many ways is true. You know what I mean? Period. I just think, but what is your perspective and perception of it?
Right.
So,
Right.
like, you may read something in the Bible, you're like, yeah, actually, that doesn't. I don't believe that. Like, it could be the story of, let's say, Noah. Noah. And you're like, yeah, two of every animal fit into an ark that's basically no bigger than the size of a two football field. I don't see how that doesn't make sense. That's not possible. And probably back then, because of less building, there's probably more animals, more vegetation, everything back then than probably now. But regardless, there's other ways to look at it, allegorically speaking. And so, if there's a story in the Bible that doesn't make sense to you, rather than say it's not true, it's because you only understand it literally, and probably wouldn't make sense. You know what I mean? But you have to say, do you also understand it allegorically? And if you don't, then rather than say it's not true, it's why I don't really understand it. If there's or at least symbolically speaking, I don't understand it. So as of right now, I don't resonate with it. But maybe if I understand it in another perspective, then maybe all of a sudden it will make sense.
Well, okay. Even when you say allegorically, now once again, that's why I always say my brother Eric, the allegorist. Half the time I'm like, once again, what does that mean? You know. By the way, once again, we made up the word. Allegorist doesn't really, but I just think that that's exactly who Eric is. He's the allegorist, which means is that, you know, a lot of times initially we want to look at things one way. We want to look at things the way that was told to us, you know, conventionally, according to our society, according to our culture, according to what, you know, the general concept is. But these are some of the things that I appreciated about Eric, which is that he will look at things allegorically. And I think in the in the dictionary, Google it. It basically just says that deeper meaning in things, you know, it's just deeper meaning. So, you know, that's what you've always kind of relatively, you know, kind of looked into, where people when you know, whatever the issue is or something, sometimes people go, well, everyone knows that blah, 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 blah. And then Eric will go, well, hold on. Actually, if you look at it from this perspective, or you think about it this way or something, in other words, you know, you're not so quick to just dismiss. And that's what I've always appreciated about you, because like I said, once again, the only thing that I can really, really, you know, appreciate amongst many of the other things that you've done is that I would have maybe still have been very religious minded until you started challenging things to make me look at things allegorically. Well, once again, what is allegory? You brought many different, aspects to what, not like you were challenging me, but you were just like, well, hey, wait, you just said this. So since you just said that, let's look at it this way, and now look at your perspective from there. Since whatever. So I like that. Well, in other words, I'm just basically trying to bring out here that sometimes as you Eric are explaining things, you'll say look at things allegorically, and a lot of times people may be like, well, what is allegorically? You know what I mean? And what I'm trying to just, define a little bit on your end is that allegorically has many different facets to it. It's like, okay, well, how do you want to look at it allegorically? Do you want to look at it from the social aspect? Do you want to look at it from the scientific or science fiction, aspect? Do you want to look at it from the religious aspect? Or the alien counter aspect? Like, there's many ways to look at whatever.
Well, like,
Okay, go ahead.
It'd be like somebody saying you're carrying a lot of burden on your shoulders, or that you're carrying, all this weight on your shoulders. Now, literally, you can go, nah, I don't see it. There's no weight on your shoulders, But obviously, it's not to be taken literally. But actually, there are burdens, and energetically, there's a lot of whatever stress and anxiety and whatever that is, you're carrying it. So literally, even scientifically, that you'll notice carrying all that weight on your shoulders in a sense of the word symbolically, looking into it, you'll notice that's when people get knots in their in their neck, you know what I mean, and their shoulders are tight, you know what I mean. So that's what basically these things would mean. It's not everything has to be taken literally. Like, hey, you're carrying all this weight in your shoulders. No, I'm not. I'm not carrying any weight. Like, what? But literally, you are.
It has a literal effect. It has a literal effect. Right.
So literally, even the body will tell you if you're feeling pain and stuff in your shoulders for no reason or whatever you don't understand. A lot of times, it's actually the energy is becoming now physical.
Right.
Like when you put an intention, you want it to actually happen in your reality. To make that manifestation or intention to come into physical reality, then the energy has to transmute, into it. So that's no different. So if you know you got a burden on your shoulders, you have to go looking at what is all this, what's this heaviness that's coming down on you, where literally you literally need a massage. Like you have knots and all this stuff in your neck and your shoulders and everything's sore because it's actually manifesting in the physical, and that's how you get diseases and sicknesses. But we have to understand that nothing comes from nothing. Everything comes from energy, and then it just transmutes into and comes into the reality for good or for bad. You know what I mean? So, but I do want to say before we start wrapping it up, ever since May 26th, I was learned that there's a galactic waves that are coming in. You know what I mean? And if you tune into these waves, they basically raise your consciousness, and that's what all these transits and obviously you see with the solar eclipse and what that's doing. So, and I think that is until June 20th, I believe, or maybe the 10th. It could be, but to really tune into that, to be aware of it, and many human beings are naturally attuning into this, and it's going to have a lot of benefits. So that's basically what all this is really coming down to. Waves and all these energies all through the cosmos, it affects us because we're antennas. And we have to look at these things. Why would a human being have all this intelligence and come into a planet that floats in space? And what is that? And all, like, there's so much we don't even have an idea to even conceive. You know what I mean? So, but we do know these planets and these cosmos have all this energy and it hits us in a way. We feel it. So it has to mean something. So something doesn't come from nothing. So we have to understand it. No matter what you look at it, if you don't understand a story, it doesn't mean the story's fake, or it doesn't even make sense. Sometimes you have to understand what's the energy behind it, and look into it. That's why it's very important for all these things to really. A lot of times, like the story of Adam and Eve, the more you go into it, you start, wait, another woman? What story is that? Exactly. So now maybe you should look into that. Who would have known? What if all you believed is just only Adam and Eve, two people, and she's the first woman and he's the first man, and you start realizing now there's actually debate. Was she even the first woman? You would want to look into that. You know what I mean? And when you go there and see where that leads, and then see what else. Like, it's just, there's a bigger world of what you think. And like you said, like, yeah, humans naturally, like where we are in this paradigm, and our conscious level, we doubt and fear and doubt everything to a degree. You know what I mean? It's always till a black sheep comes in and proves us wrong. Other than that, nope, that'll never happen. No, we'll never fly. Nope, we never did. And look at all the crap we have now. And then it's still going to be, yeah, but we'll never do this, or we'll never do that, and then we do that, and then we'll never do this. So it's real simple. You have the naysayers, and you have the ones, the doers and the don'ts. You know what I mean? And that's always going to be. And that's why you have sheep. The sheep is usually the vast crowd. You know what I mean? But then you have those that are not sheep. You know what I mean? And you'll see those lions, those leaders, or those wolves, the leader of the pack. They're the ones that find new meaning to life and a new understanding. and that's usually at a higher level of consciousness and understanding. Because usually when we don't have no understanding, well, it's usually, let me guess, doubt or even fear, and that in some ways you would almost understand it. Because if there's no education, no knowledge, what else would you have? I mean, you might as well be in fear mode because if you don't know anything, you can get hurt, I guess. So you're just protecting yourself. So you wouldn't know. I doubt it. I don't know anything about it, so I'm not doing it. But when you start staying open-minded and start, opening up and taking a step or two out of your comfort zone, you start realizing this ain't so bad. Actually, this is good. Change is good. This is good. And then actually more change. And then you start realizing, there's a lot that I don't know, and I'm liking. I'm loving to learn more, and so to expand. It definitely serves me for the good, for the greater good, of not only yourself and for others as well. You'll notice.
Yeah, I think I was actually kind of writing a note down, which is fear. Fear kills who you are, and it's very important to be free. And once again, I mean that's like easy words. Oh yeah, but but it's like I think you and I are really trying to put it in context, which is that we are in a stage where basically a lot of people, and fear comes in many different ways. It comes in like the ways that maybe is very uncomfortable for us. Like, for instance, being able to speak your real mind. Fear tends to change people and how they think and how they run things or whatever and stuff. And I think like, we need to get past that. We need to try to encourage, difference of opinion, whatever that is or whatever and stuff. And, for people to feel like, hey, look, if my opinion doesn't agree with you, that's okay. But, you're not going to like try to, destroy my income, destroy my livelihood just because I don't agree with you,
I just think that, I think in life though, you can say what you want to say. Just, I think common sense, just do it with respect. I think ultimately everyone will respect that. You know what I mean? Even if someone doesn't agree with you, that's okay. I think it's 100% okay. You shouldn't have to agree with everyone. You know what I mean? But and you shouldn't be put down for disagreeing with somebody. Have your own belief in your own system. But the thing is, show respect. I think a lot of times when people sometimes you can go about ways, and I'm sure we all done it, where it just shows no respect, and that's where it rubs people the wrong way.
Yeah.
For people, oh yeah, that was ridiculous. I think there's a difference in you can say something, and make your point without actually being a dick. That's it.
Right.
I wouldn't respect that.
Hey, you know what?
I mean, for the most part.
I mean, I think I'd be the first to, I'd be the first one to probably point the finger at myself. Clearly, especially when I get in party mode and we're drinking and shit, let me tell you, sometimes I look back on the stuff that whatever, and I'm like, wow, you know what? I really do appreciate that, I've got, brothers, family, friends that are kind of like, he was drunk. Give him the pass. Don't worry about it. You know what I mean? Whatever. That's good. And I almost I wish that more of the world could be like that.
Maybe not take life so serious and understand we're all still imperfect human beings.
Right.
We all make mistakes. We're allowed to make mistakes. And I think if we can all be a little forgiven, it would make all the difference in the entire planet.
Exactly.
And probably all throughout the universe. So.
Right. You've got nothing to lose. It's coming tomorrow. The intentions, manifestation, law of attraction, everything that, you may have never, believed in, or if you do, this is the time to put it in there. And if you just wanted to consider this event to be nothing, well then okay, fine. But you know what though? Probably if you want to bet even lottery numbers, whatever you're going to do, maybe this would be the best time to invest. That's all I'm going to say. What do you got to say, Eric?
6:15 a.m. is the eclipse. So if you can get a chance to just go out, even if you can't see it or where you are, most people probably won't. But if you're on the East Coast, you get to see some of it, I think. So go out there, just take the energy and put your intentions out. Whatever it is you want, put it out there, and just be clear. And it's a good thing to kind of get dialed into the energy and move from there. But so it's not too late. Even after, if you don't do that, remember there's like 3 phases of moon energy. So you got like about almost like 2.5, 3 days to soak in that energy. So it's not too late. If you miss the solar eclipse, like, oh no, I'm done, I missed it. But at least those 2.5, 3 days, take it in. And other than that, do your own research. There's many people talk about the solar eclipse and learn about it. That's why I'm not going to go into all of it. That's what these people do for a living, And I would definitely do your research. Go on YouTube, and you'll see a lot of it, and exactly and what resonates with you. Take that, and boom. There's many different rituals and ways you can practice. Go ahead, look into what works for you, and do it up.
All right. So I think that pretty much covers it. So hey, once again, good to hear from you. I'm gonna try and post this immediately. Whatever. And bottom line is, hey, look, you know what? As far as I'm concerned, like I said before, this is a free lottery. You know what I mean? Like, get in there, put your intentions, your manifestations, your law of attraction, whatever it is that, whatever. And if you don't believe in it, take a shot anyway. It's the same thing as like with the lottery. Just do it. You know what I mean? Whatever and stuff. There's good things if you can believe in it. And here's one thing I will probably say I would guarantee, which is whatever. Even if you don't believe in it or whatever and stuff, just put some intentions out there, do whatever, and maybe you won't win the lottery, but you may still win. You know how like the lottery, you don't win the lottery, but you'll win the smaller bits. Maybe you'll win the smaller bits. Maybe you'll win, one of the other parts that wasn't the entire lottery, but you still get $1,000 out of it, or you still get $5,000 out of it, or you just get when the girl said yes. Or you still get where, you got that promotion or something. In other words, like, why not? Just do it. What are you going to say, Eric?
Maybe you win the lottery, but just not the lottery that most people see with the lottery. It may not come in ways of money, but you win the lottery in many other ways and realize, right. Oh, I did win the lottery. Yeah.
Exactly. So there you go. I guess that's pretty much it. So I guess we're gonna round it off here. Everyone, I know it's pretty close to tomorrow. Whatever. This video is going up pretty late, but whatever. Any suggestions? Any comments? Leave them in here. Whatever. We'll talk about it. Bottom line is, look. Even though whatever the event is tomorrow, there's still a lot to talk about after that. Whatever stuff. So, stay involved, whatever stuff. Let's continue, let's give people good feedback and to continue to make our consciousnesses higher, whatever that is. And for the next event coming up. So anyway, on this note, I'm Kirk. We've got Eric once again, the allegorist. And I guess that's pretty much it. Anything left to say, Eric?
It's not too late. So jump on it.
And there we go. All right. We will talk to you all later. Peace, everybody.
All right. Peace out.
Thanks for watching. Give us a like. We'll be replying to your comments in our next episodes. We post almost daily, so subscribe to keep up with the latest.